So they say consistency is king. It's your boy L to the B making another video this morning and sharing some things that I've gotten recently as a good insight on my own personal health and everything else going forward. First off, let me say this. I am very grateful and happy that I have a wonderful, amazing daughter. And I have to say that first and foremost. Second thing I'm very happy for is being able to make a video every single morning or day or staying consistent with this process, and that I have a shirt I can put over my body if I'm cold, or if I got a roof over my head, which is perfect, and I've got food and I've got money and resources to be able to pay for that. This is a lot more than what a lot of people have out here, and I have people that love me. You know, whether I'm giving love or expressing love and receiving it in return, I do have it. So if you just saw me right there do that little spit, that's because it's from some of the Hape. If anybody's not sure what Hape is, here's what I'm going to say about that, because I don't think there's a lot of people that want to say the bad stuff about Hape and opposed to what I'm always expressing as being good. So what I just spit out there was some tobacco. Really, it's tobacco with some other herbs mixed in. But I want people to think about this whenever they're smoking cigarettes. I used to be a smoker years and years ago. I smoked plenty of cigarettes. I got to the point, and it wasn't like it was bad, but I did smoke at least a pack a day, and sometimes a little bit more than that. And I mean, here's what I can tell you about nicotine. And I can tell you about me being a smoker. I noticed that all of my experiences started to shape around a certain, network of experience. Like it locks in your neural network. And nicotine is a very strong stimulant in the sense that it can create this addictive state in the central nervous system. And I did a whole paper on this back when I was in college because I was curious about it. Figured I want to learn a little bit more and almost kind of prove what I had already suspected all along. And there's tons of data on it. So if somebody's watching this and they find themselves watching me with a nice cigarette in your hand, just know that you're probably here out of habit. You probably won't even watch me anymore if this is talking bad about what you're doing, or if you stop smoking and you just decide to move on. You might just watch me out of enjoyment, out of regularity. So this is the things that I've noticed that nicotine is very supportive in doing. Now, you say to yourself, well, maybe I'm doing something positive with my life. Maybe I'm doing things that I want to do and nicotine's supporting that. Does that make it okay? I'm not here to tell you what's okay or not okay in that. I can tell you what's not okay for me. I'm not okay with things that support addiction or create an addictive state. And that when I don't have it, I'm not the best person, or I have to use it as a crutch to get through on things. And that's one of the biggest realizations that I've had within the last couple days. So yesterday, I didn't do any type of Hape. I stopped it. I was like, I'm going to go a whole day, see what happens. And that experience was withdrawals. Now, I did it this morning because I thought I was going to do like a nice little taper off. I'm becoming more and more aware that this is something in my system, whether you're doing a snuff, tobacco snuff, stuff like this, people are spitting, they're doing the exact same thing. They may have other chemicals, different types of chemicals in there with it. But the bottom line, it's nicotine. Why do you think they just make a nicotine patch to help people get around the smoking or to get smoking cessation? It's because you're still receiving this hit of a chemical that your body is requesting and requiring in some sense. And somebody would say, I already know all about cigarettes. I already know they're addictive. I already know they're not good for me. But is the nicotine itself, the chemical, not good for you? That's the whole point we're getting to, is that you're driving your addiction centers to doing other things. And so I'm going to give you my experience last night. I went the whole day and I was doing okay, but then towards the end of it, because this has been like a 24-hour session, I was getting very irritable. I wasn't too bad, but I could notice I was not the same person, not the same self. And my kid, I didn't spend a whole lot of time with her yesterday. And I need to be honest with myself and be honest. I hope we all get kind of honest with ourselves. And that, yeah, things seem like they're going good. You're happy and everything's going great. It could be just an illusion. It could be a disillusion, distortion. I mean, your happiness can derive from a lot of different things, but if you have to use something to get there, is that true happiness? For me, it's not. And that's the kind of discovery I made this morning when I woke up. I was really, really not doing the best. I was sleepy and stuff like that. But last night with my kid, she's been happy. She's been running around. She's been okay. She hasn't said anything. We have our interactions, but she had packed her bag full of all this stuff that she wanted to take to her mother's. But the energy that I projected out around the experience was one that daddy's not here, daddy's not around. I'd rather be somewhere else. I'd rather be with my mother. My mother gives me a whole lot more time and attention, or at least ways I feel that way. Where's daddy at? And daddy, and it was not like she necessarily is expressing this, but I was definitely projecting that out on the situation. And to be honest, it made me feel very lacking as a parent. And it don't matter whatever I've done in the past and all these good things. And there's things that I didn't find comfortable in myself with the experience. Now, why am I linking all this around to nicotine? It's because when that supplement was gone, when that nicotine was gone, I was sitting there just kind of left with myself, having to deal with the situation, and I could resolve it, but it was kind of rough. So when I went there, she had already kind of made this huge mess with things everywhere. You could just see chaos. And if we're parents and we're seeing our kids in this chaos and we're trying to tell them and direct them into some kind of organization, it's an indication to me that, yeah, they're kids, they're having fun, and if they don't have any direction, they're going to do what they're going to do. But as a parent, if we're not there to guide our kids through these processes, then how are we helping them to grow? How are we helping them to foster things? I got really, really upset. It was at the end of the night, and it was a cascade of things that was kind of left on my doorstep to kind of say, man, what's going on? Don't you want to out? Like maybe the out was doing some nicotine, and I got her to straighten all this stuff up, put it up. She even slept in her bed. She normally sleeps in my bed because she likes sleeping with daddy. She wanted to last night, but after all that, it wasn't good. I was just So I almost went into a very punishing state. She said some things to me that were hurtful as a parent, but are they true? She says these same things to her mom, is what she told me too. So this is my kid growing. She even said it this morning. She's like, I feel different. I don't feel the same. I was like, yeah, it's because you're growing. And kids grow, and they start to analyze things a little bit differently. It's like I told her this morning, I was like, I bet you feel like you got it all figured out, and you're just now getting around and getting this whole human life thing going, and then all of a sudden it just changes again, and then you're like a whole different person. I told her, I was like, I remember when I was young, I was that kid running around with guns and going and playing with action figurines, and then all that stuff went away. And I'm a different person, and I kept changing over and over and over. I said, eventually you're going to be like the people you see on TV. You're going to start exhibiting certain behavior. And I'm making this video the way I'm making it. I'm just, this is my rant. This is my journal entries. So I had a lot of, what would be the feelings? It's hard for me to describe, but it was more like I wanted to exact some kind of punitive. That's why I keep saying something about punishing. I wanted to put some kind of punitive state on the nature of behavior activity that I experienced yesterday because it was unacceptable to me. And there's times for that. But I really set on this. And I was like, this wasn't right. And started realizing quickly in myself that I was going through some withdrawal symptoms. Maybe my irritability was there. Maybe there were some other things going on, but it was present. And I I don't care what the substance is, as if it has nicotine in it, and you just feel like you have something that's very addictive, you got to assess that really well. And this can be anything. It could be me playing the video games. So this was some of the stuff that I've been taking away. And so I'm looking forward to quitting this whole thing, this whole experience. And it's kind of ironic that once again, the thing that is screwing me up, I've allowed in from something that my ex has brought me. I've always tried to say, oh, no, man, that can't be everything. There's got to be some. Yeah, there's a lot of. Sometimes what my ex brings and introduces in my life is wrecking. And I never really realize it till later, or I see it and I go, dang, am I putting the problems on her? I got a decision, I made it. But at the same time, I'm very aware now. It's like, dang, I let another thing in that it could be influencing a greater degree of what I do or don't do in my life. And I'm not too keen on having things that are addictive. Alcohol is an addiction. I don't drink it that much. I drank like my first drink 2 nights ago when I went out with the lady, and I finished up the bottle last night, which wasn't much. So I don't have that too much of an issue with alcohol. I can walk away from it, but I want to be able to walk away from this other substance, and it's not as easy to do as it is walking away from something like alcohol. But even today, maybe I didn't want to make a video, but I made a video. I have to make a video. This is my process going forward. So what am I thinking about doing in the next few days? Tomorrow, I'm thinking about I'm going to go again a long distance, and I'm just going to see how this whole process unfolds. And it's going to probably be rough. Might have some headaches, might have some body problems. But a lot of people report that their symptoms are going to improve after like a month. And that's like a long time whenever you've been doing something daily. Like I kick when I kick habits, or, I haven't smoked Mary J. And it doesn't matter if you're doing the legal or illegal kind. Just because somebody says it's legal doesn't mean it's always healthy for you. I mean, is it legal for you to do self-harm? It is totally legal. So anybody that's going by some constructs of what man has made, or rule structures for deciding what's okay and what's not okay, they're like a measuring stick. There's like a grading scale for what you feel like your behavior should or shouldn't be, and it can be helpful, but it's not always the true indicator. If I want to do self-harm, I can take a blade, I can start cutting myself, and that's empowerment. People are like, I have power over this, I can control that. I haven't done any kind of things like that. And if this is a trigger for you, I apologize. I've never engaged in any kind of self-harm necessarily like that. However, there's all shapes and forms of self-harm. And so while I may say I haven't cut, I did use a different medium. And so maybe one of those mediums of self-harm is doing this Hape. And so I'm going to do a little bit of research. It's kind of helpful for me to see and read things to know why or what's going on with the substance. I actually said I was going to go a few days or something like that. No, I'm actually going to kind of ramp it up a little bit, do my little Hape sessions, be done with them, whatever. But I'm very aware now that I need to move out of that space, just like I had to move out of the space of smoking cigarettes. Now, what made me quit cigarettes a while ago? There's a number of things why cigarettes are not fun. I mean, let's be honest. You smell like smoke all the damn time. You stink. And then if you can't smell the stink, even worse, other people smell it and they just go, here comes that LB. Good gosh. I don't want to be around. He's always reeking of this. That it's like you can just smell his body's decaying. Now, I don't have any kind of expression like that with other people. People don't say that. They're ecstatic around me. But I don't have to have a smell for the problem to still exist. So, but smoking for me, whenever I had to quit, was not even just the smoke and how I appeared to other people. It was my behavior, and I don't have really bad behaviors right now. But sometimes a smoker doesn't have to have bad behaviors. Not necessarily. They can they can manifest in ways that you're not really aware of. So whenever I was having troubles with the cigarettes, I always kept having a bad interaction with my mother. And I had quit everything at the time. I was very sober on a lot of levels. And I was like, what in the world is continuing to keep me behaving and having this same experience over and over? And I looked down, and there was that magical cigarette hanging out between my index and middle finger. And I went, oh my God, this is the last piece I got to cut. And it hit me one more time where I was smoking really big. And I was like, and it ruined it. I had another outburst with me and my mother. And it was not like an outburst, it was like yelling and stupid argument. I'm talking about stupid arguments. And my mother was a smoker at the time. So it's like we almost had a round of this over and over and over. And then we'd be okay and later and all this kind of stuff. And I just was like, I don't like this repeating episode. Like, this is really freaking annoying. And I'm older at that time. I was probably like 26, 27. And when that hit me, I stopped. That was what caused me to stop. I didn't like the current repetition of things. It wasn't even the addiction. But now when I got away from that, I definitely didn't like addictions. And so I was never really a preach person. But I started dating some women or some people, that or talking to people that would be smokers. And I would notice some of the same things when, like, you could just tell, like, they're back in that little rhythm of stuff. And I think that was like a big, big, strong indicator. Like when I'm with somebody, when I was with a partner, especially my past one, my previous one, she may have vaped. Excuse me, she may have vaped. May not be stinky, but you could tell like her body was just not up to snuff. And I don't think this is happening with me doing Hape, but you could still see that there's like some kind of reverberating effect that she was there, and it did not. All my partners with nicotine, it just never worked out very well. They come up with some weird conjectures or projections and ideas and thoughts, and they would start believing those thoughts no matter what. And I mean, like that. Gosh, is that like a spiritual demon? Is it like there's something that comes in and wrecks whatever you've got figured out or put together? I don't really know. But for me, that it's never worked out with somebody that's been a smoker. Now, am I starting to head down that same track with just doing this Hape as a nicotine snuff? I don't know. And people think snuff, it's like you put in, no, you got snuff. No. This is a nasal inhalation snuff. You don't do it all the time. Heck, you don't really want to do it all the time. But it can be very abusive. You can abuse it. And so I like to get away from that kind of experience. I don't want to be tied to that. And so I have to give myself time to see who I am and develop that part of me apart from it. It's going to take some time. But when I'm done with that journey, I probably cannot recommend this substance to anyone else that might be curious about doing it. I don't feel comfortable as that being something that somebody could use. I mean, maybe under a very, like a controlled setting, things are set up perfectly for that, or maybe 1 or 2 times session, but it has to be, I think it's better under those kind of guidances to where you don't walk away and then you have the substance that you can play with on your own whenever you want. It's like that autonomy can sometimes be very damaging because you can be a danger to yourself. And I think that's where some of this can be abusive. It's no surprise to me why there's a company that's produced so many different varieties of it, just like they would produce so many varieties of cigarettes, so that people have all these different flavors and feelings, and they connect what they think they're connecting with. It's all an illusion in my mind. I mean, the brass tacks. Like, I went for the strongest. What gave me the strongest effect doing Hape is the one that I picked. And somebody that's smoking cigarettes wouldn't do anything different. They would pick the one that they feel like, if they're into that and they're trying to get that nice kick, they have what their preferences are. So if I did, let's say Cools, I was a menthol fan. So that means I would want to do a menthol type of Hape. And I want to have that type of experience over and over, as opposed to something that just doesn't give me the feeling. This is the awarenesses I'm gaining from seeing this. It has an effect, and it definitely produces a switch and an awareness on different levels. But it definitely, for me, it has some drawbacks in that it can be abusive, and then all of a sudden it's not doing the same thing. You don't get the same high. There's a high effect. I just went a whole day and did one this morning and could tell how penetrating the experience was and how it was already reshaping how I was feeling. And I was like kind of down, sleepy, going through withdrawal symptoms. And then when I took it, I bounced right back. So maybe some of this that you see in the videos, yeah, I'm a naturally happy person. What you're seeing in me and my expressions are legit, but they're legit beyond doing the supplement, or I say supplement, substance. And so now that I've been doing this substance, I can tell that it like put me back in charge, put me back in that driving seat of energy. It's time to move on from it. It's time to get that same energy without it. That was a little long-winded video, but again, I'm just kind of expressing. I got some things I want to get done in the day. Maybe not. It's a waning moon. It's time to chill sometimes. You don't always have to get it all done, but there is a good time opportunity to knock things off the list, and they should just roll along really casually, not like you must, but you have all this drive and you have all this I have to do type of energy, but it's a waning moon. So just take it casually, take it calmly, enjoy your times, and if you find yourself finding something that's addictive or abusive to you, figure out ways to get away from it, or find some way to get some power over that action or that behavior. This is L to the B. I'm signing out for today. Sorry it's not the most exhilarating, motivational content today, but I'm very aware. Now my kids all like, oh no, I want to spend time with you. Oh, I love you. Yeah, but I know I told her, I was like, you're saying things I want to hear, and it's okay. I appreciate it. I love you. And she's been very receptive. Kids want the love and cherishing of their parent. They really do. They don't want to see their parent in a down state or be the source of what upset them. Nobody wants to do that. And so I've told my kid just as much. I'm like, I want you to be happy, and I want you to go through these things, and these are the things I want and I expect out of you. So why don't we do that for ourselves? Let's see if we can really take ourselves and look at ourselves third person and how we're interacting with our own bodies, our own minds, and opposed to just being this character in everyone else's play. It's time to be a character in our own plays. Do good work, do good self-help, self-work. All right. Peace out. Hope y'all have a wonderful day, Thursday, and we'll carry on throughout the weekend. We'll have another video later. Take care.